You can learn a lot from the Oracle. It knows everything.
The sign of Yeron. You wish to know more about the people of Albion and beyond. Why don't I share with you my knowledge of Whisper? The people of Albion can be fickle in their affections, and Whisper's inglorious defeat in the arena stripped her of any repute she may have once possessed. For many, she would never grow out of the immense shadow of her brother Thunder. And so she left our shores and set out for the distant homeland she had last seen as a child. The sea journey was once again beset with difficulties, and her ship was boarded by pirates. None of them survived. She arrived at shore she barely remembered, with nothing but her own strength. Yet now, she is beloved as a true hero among her own people. Let's see. Let's do Teresa. After walking out of the Chamber of Fate, Teresa fled to the mountains, climbing alone to their summit. There, she was taken in by Palgan, an old will user from the lands to the east. Palgan had been meditating in the thin air close to the clouds, but he offered to take her with him on returning to his homeland. One night, Teresa awoke to find him performing a ritual above her, in an attempt to steal her prophetic powers. She killed him, and used the amulet that had transported him halfway across the globe. She lives in the East now, haunted by her past only in rare nightmares. I know some interesting things about the Guildmaster. He may be known for his calm poise, as a stern authority rather than an adventurer, but this was not always so. In his youth, when he went by the name of Weaver, he was part of a cluster of heroes, Maze among them, who rebelled against the previous guild regime and its resolution of offering only virtuous quests. Much blood was spilled in this short revolt in the name of freedom, leaving the number of heroes, already rare in a world of diminishing will presence, at its lowest for centuries. It was Scythe who proposed Weaver as the new Guildmaster, seeing in him the serene and impartial man he would become. Someone who would leave the moral destiny of all future acolytes in their own hands. I shall tell you about Thunder. Many years ago, a ship from the South Islands was carried upon a wave mightier than any dragon, and within the ship stood the mountain-like frame of thunder. It was a storm as none aboard had ever seen, but the great warrior was concerned with one thing only: quelling the cries of a child, his young sister, Whisper. The wave bore the vessel across vast expanses of ocean and into a nest of krakens. Thunder cast down lightning upon them, and gathering Whisper in his arms, dove into the waters. As he swam, they heard the screams of dying men and the sounds of timber torn apart behind them. It was 2 days before they reached the shores of Albion, leaving their home as far off as a dream. Perhaps you would like to hear the story of Briar Rose. Born into a noble family, Briar's early childhood was one of luxury and plenty. But once her strength and unique abilities began to manifest themselves, her world fell apart. Her mother died in an accident Briar could do little to prevent. Yet her grieving father cast her out, and she was left to fend for herself, learning to rely on no one. She has made the Guild her home, and it is in its books that she has found the companionship she has never asked for from another living being. It was her burning quest for knowledge that sent her on journeys far beyond Albion during the time you made your mark in this world. But she is here to stay now. Why don't I share with you my knowledge of Scythe? There is little I can tell you of Scythe's origins, for such knowledge is a mystery even to me. Yet, he is much more ancient than any of this time would believe possible, and has walked this world since long before the Guild existed. It has been centuries since he's been personally involved in any action. But of those among us, only Jack of Blades has seen and done more. It's been so long since I told anyone about Maze. You and Maze had more in common than you ever realized. He too was left alone in the world after a wave of violence took his home away. As a child, he watched his parents torn apart by Bulverines as they walked through the woods. The beasts were about to turn on him when 3 warriors crashed into the clearing. 2 of them were guild heroes. The third was Jack of Blades. In an instant, Jack slew the Bulverines in a show of strength, then killed the heroes. Maze carried this debt all his life. It burdened his every action, and in the end, destroyed him. Why don't I share with you my knowledge of the archaeologist? The one who called himself the archaeologist was one of the few with a true academic interest in the Old Kingdom. But he was also a mine of disinformation, gathered from unreliable and sometimes contradicting sources. And he was too cowardly to delve far enough into the mysteries of that age. After his kidnapping by minions, he fled to the cities of the West, disguised as a glove trader. He hasn't opened a book or stepped near a ruin since. Perhaps